Hokage, clocking in unlocks forbidden jutsu rewards. Episode 16. After the ferret left, Yu began to study the sealing scroll. The scroll was 1 meter high, thick, and spread out, nearly 20 meters long. It is densely recorded with high-level ninjutsu since the establishment of Konoha's village, as well as forbidden arts. The first ninjutsu in the opening episode is one of the plugins in the Hokage world, the art of multiple shadow avatars. In fact, there are many people in the Hokage world who can do this trick. Most upper shinobi will. The reason why it has become a forbidden technique is that chakra is insufficient, and if it is forcibly opened, it is easy to explode and die. Second, when multiple shadow doppelgangers are recycled, multiple memories and multiple exhaustion can make people with weak mental strength directly schizophrenic. So although Sharingan will, it will not be used much. It is only Naruto, who has the 9 tails infinite chakra, plus the protagonist's luck, who dares to use it as a plug-in. It's quite easy to learn. Fright Feather itself will shadow the avatar, and it will be easy to learn. Boom. 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 3 shadow doppelgangers exactly like him appear to help study the scroll together. More may not be able to bear, first use 3 and then talk. Multiply the detonator charm. Dark magic. Telescopic art. Flying Thunder God. The focus of the feather body is focused on the Flying Thunder God. The Flying Thunder God recorded in the scroll should still be the version of the second generation Hokage Senjukuma. Not 4 generations of improved. Yu thought about it and put the Flying Thunder God down first. Space ninjutsu is quite difficult to learn, and the entire ninja world has learned to fly the Thunder God, and the difficulty can be seen from this. Instead of studying the old version of Flying Thunder, it is better to go back and learn directly with the 4th generation. 4 people read again. A large number of water ninjutsu, fire ninjutsu, wood ninjutsu, dazzling. It is worthy of being the strongest ninja village in the past, and this heritage is not comparable to other villages. On the water alone, I'm afraid it's not weaker than Wuin village. Mudun is even more unique. Advanced ninjutsu is not easy to learn. With such a large amount, you can only grind slowly, and use the shadow avatar to speed up the learning process. At the end of the scroll, Yu saw a familiar forbidden technique, Dirt Rebirth. The second generation originally wanted to control the corpse, jointly multiply the detonation charm, and make a corpse bomb on the battlefield. I didn't expect to unintentionally insert willows and make this kind of forbidden technique that blasphemes the soul. Yu sighed and studied it carefully. Soon, he found out. Like the Flying Thunder God, the rebirth of dirt recorded in the scroll is a relatively backward version. It is also the first edition. Compared to the dirt reincarnation I obtained a few months ago, this version is a lot clumsier. The control is weak, and the combat effectiveness of the deceased is poorly retained during his lifetime. I just don't know, the version I got, compared to the version mastered by the Great Snake Pill, who is stronger and who is weaker. Yu pondered and put down the first version of the Filthy Soil Rebirth. The 3 shadow doppelgangers continued to study Shui Duan, Hua Dun, and Mu Duan. Looking at the shadow doppelganger serious study, Yu smiled. There is a shadow doppelganger, and I also learned the practice of yarn, and take the yarn class. Just have fun touching the fish. At this time, the Hokage building. Konoha high-rise, gathered together. Sarutobi makes a comeback and puts on the Hokage cloak. Shimura Danzo looked at the Hokage cloak on the 3 generations with hatred, and the coldness on his face almost froze. Many years ago, Danzo missed the Hokage throne just because of a hesitation. Later, it lost to Buofing Shui Men. I thought that after Watergate's death, he would be able to succeed to the throne for 5 generations. But Ape Flying Sun slashed this guy, actually shameless, and regained the power of Hokage. Sure enough, this guy hasn't been enough. If it weren't for the time of the peace last time, the country of Earth strongly demanded, he would not have passed the throne to Buofing Shui Men at all. Okay, quiet. 3 generations of openings. Koharu, Mito Menyen, Narashikahiza, and others stopped discussing when they heard this. The aftermath of Watergate, that's at first. The 3rd generation knocked on the cigarette stick. It is imperative to consider how to place the 9 tails first. The village has lost a lot this time, and it is difficult to suppress its anger. As a nuclear weapon, the 9 tails certainly cannot be abandoned. But if the villagers are not allowed to vent, the village will also be in chaos. The 3 generations of Yuguang looked at Nara Shikaku if nothing. The hint is obvious. Take Naruto as an outlet for the villagers. As a Konoha military master, Nara Shikaku sighed, after all, he is a child of Watergate. Tuanzong snorted coldly, then he should shoulder the responsibility even more. Koharu said, just rename him Naruto Uzumaki and arrange for someone to feed him. Villagers always have a target to vent their anger, and I'm sure Watergate will agree. Other people's faces are not good looking. Let a baby bear the wrath of the whole village? Even they, who are accustomed to war, feel shameless. Parliament continues. Episode 17. Tuanzong knocked on the table at this time. Wufeng Shuiman is dead, what is there to discuss about an orphan? Sacrifice is sacrifice. He pointed his spearhead directly at Uchiha Fugaku. The old man thinks it's more important. How do you Uchiha explain the Nine Tails riot? It's not the first time you've done the Nine Tails being manipulated by the Sharingan. Back then, Uchiha was controlling the Nine Tails and fighting a decisive battle with the original Hokage Senjutsu. Last night, countless people saw the chakra eyes in the eyes of the Nine Tails. This matter, Uchiha can't get rid of. Lu Jiu and the others also looked bad. The Uchiha family is arrogant and domineering, and it is also an old tradition. Nobody likes Uchiha. Uchiha Fugaku was calm and asked rhetorically, you can see us Uchiha, what are you doing while chaos? Tuanzong snorted coldly, of course, only you know what idea you have in your hearts. In my opinion, you Uchiha have bad intentions and can no longer serve as the security guard of the village. The three generations saw everyone's reaction to Uchiha one by one. Draw conclusions. The high-ranking people of the village really had a lot of opinions about Uchiha. You can take this opportunity to marginalize Uchiha. He was just about to speak. At this time, a dark department hurried over. 3 generations of adults, it's not good. The Book of Seals has just been stolen. And, moreover, Shinosuke-sama, he killed in the line of duty, snap. 3 generations of cigarette sticks fell on the table before he came back to his senses. The hand that picked up the cigarette stick trembled slightly. Shinosuke is his Nagayuki. The sealing scroll is the root of the village. The 3 generations rarely showed their hideous faces. The parliament is over. The Book of Seals, as well as Shinosuke's affairs, must be checked for me. The next day, news about Uchiha's manipulation of the Nine Tails. With the help of people with intentions, it quickly spread throughout the village. Uchiha, who was already unwelcome, was even more disgusted to the extreme. Konoha's high level pushed the boat along the water, reducing Uchiha's guard category from the entire village to the surrounding area of the village. Completely squeezed out of the inner circle. For this reason, Uchiha and other ninjas, even passers-by, have clashed. Uchiha's reputation is even worse. The ferret was depressed and couldn't understand why the village was always suspicious of each other. I wanted to find the clan brother to solve my confusion, but I was disliked. After all, Fangyu has been busy lately. The shadow avatar is busy studying. So far, a slight gain. Ontology, on the other hand, is busy watching live-action movies. No, it's looking at the crystal ball. At this time, late at night. The crystal ball screen switches to Konoha's graveyard. Many people died in the Nine Tails Rebellion, and the cemetery has been very lively recently. It wasn't until these 2 days that it gradually became deserted. Living people are busy making a living. Busy rebuilding homes. The ninja was busy investigating the matter of the Book of Seals. The cemetery, finally empty. Frightened Yu changes into a night suit and puts on the mask of death. Go out in the dark and go straight to the cemetery. He needs 4 generations of wave feng shui gate, as well as the meat of vortex Jiuyakaina. The night is dark and windy. Near the cemetery, from time to time, there was the mournful cry of crows. A small figure was pinching his nose and putting 2 pieces of meat into the sealing scroll. Fangyu glanced at the 2 corpses that had not yet decomposed, and burned the 2 to ashes with a fire, so that no one else could use them again. Then he sighed slightly. Apologize or something, let's talk about it later. It won't be long. Fangyu sealed his hands and closed the cemetery again. I don't know if it was an illusion, and the cemetery became even more gloomy. Frightened feathers, bare skin, sweaty roots stand up. As if in the darkness, there is a poisonous snake staring at the back. Someone. Little ghost, aren't you afraid to come to the cemetery alone at this late hour? Huh. A hoarse voice came from behind. Fangyu turned around and saw the appearance of the person coming. He is emaciated, with pale skin, long flowing black hair, and sickly purple eyeshadow. When the 4 eyes were facing each other, they also licked their scarlet long tongue. Oh, let's just say, how can you still meet your peers when digging graves? It turned out to be a large snake pill. Orochimaru stared at the Shinigami mask, but unfortunately could not see the sneer under the mask. Little ghost, what are you doing here? Orochimaru asked tentatively. At the same time, the perception spreads out to all around. The mask of death, the relic of the Vortex family. The devil knows if there are other people nearby to guard it. Fangyu showed this age, and should smile. Jingtai, you are also here too, right? Orochimaru was stunned. Perception forgot to recycle. Fangyu smiled, and suddenly quickly froze, dark walking. Heaven and earth, pitch black. When the big snake pill came back to his senses, the killing intent rushed to the sky. The little ghost is no longer there. The big snake pill did not dare to delay more, and opened the cemetery of the 4th generation. Inside the coffin, only a handful of ashes remained. Bastard. It seems that my filthy soil rebirth, the 4th generation, will be absent. That little ghost. Who the hell is it? Episode 18, Uchiha Family, Fright Family. Phew. Good insurance. Fortunately, the Shadow Avatar learned a few tricks from the Book of Seals. Otherwise, it's really troublesome. Feng Yu washed his face and felt a lot more energetic. If you fight hard with the big snake pill in the cemetery, rely on Jin Dun and you won't lose quickly. But he and the big snake pill are unseemly in their behavior. If you fight hard, you may be found by Konoha. Turning back, he could only defect out of the village in advance. Open. Feng Yu walked to the courtyard and called 2 sealing scrolls. An unknown corpse, as well as a piece of flesh, appeared, from which Feather cut a small piece. Try 4 generations first. Then prepare the control charm and the kunai. The materials are well prepared. Feng Yu took a deep breath and froze again. Psychic dirt rebirth. Countless ashes, hanging whirlwinds in the yard. Ashes covered the corpses of passers-by ninjas, and the corpses gradually changed their appearance. He is in his early 20s, handsome, with long blonde hair. It's just that the body is fragmented, like porcelain pieces that are broken and glued together. The corpse slowly opened its eyes, revealing reddish-brown eyes. Here it is. Am I not dead? When the body was confused, a voice came. Yo, I haven't seen you for a few days, and the 4th generation's face is not very good? Feng Yu smiled and looked at it. Are you, Uchiha, frightened? This is your home? Why am I here? Am I not fighting the 9 tails? Yes, what about the 9 tails? Bluffing Shuemen Soul asked. Feng Yu said slowly, 4 days ago, the 9 tails was already sealed by you, don't you remember? Feng Shuemen was slightly startled, and the last picture before birth appeared in his mind. In the picture, he and Kuzuna blocked in front of Naruto, and their bodies were pierced by the claws of the 9 tails. No, I stopped the 9 tails with a ghoul seal. How could my soul be here? Bluffing Shuemen was stunned, and then hurriedly asked, what about Jioshinai, where is Naruto? Feng Yu waved his hand, the problems have to come one by one, your soul. He raised the mask of death in his hand. Naturally, I want to come back from the Grim Reaper. Jioshinai, you'll see you later. Naruto is still alive, too, there is a chance that you will meet. If you can bear it. Feng Yu was suddenly interested. If Wei Feng Shui Gate sees the orphan, the encounter in Konoha. What an expression will be. Watergate didn't understand the words behind, and at this moment, he was looking at his new body stunned. He is fully awake. At the same time, he also noticed that his body has a substance. Moreover, not his essence. Watergate vaguely remembered that the 2nd generation Hokage-sama seemed to have developed a forbidden technique to regenerate the dead. Did you say? Watergate looked at Feng Yu vigilantly, and also saw that inside the room, the other 3 Feng Yu were studying the scroll. Book of Seals? In Watergate's mind, countless pieces of information are strung together. His eyes were faint, and he looked at Feng Yu coldly. I still underestimate you. After seeing the attitude of red beans and ferrets towards you, I vaguely doubted your ability. Plus you took the initiative to help Kakashi. I have to wonder if you are a genius that Uchiha deliberately hidden. Feng Yu laughed. So you sent the dark department to observe me, Watergate said, indeed. But your lazy performance is too deceptive. You're more genius than I thought. Also, more dangerous. At the age of 6, he learned the forbidden art of soil rebirth. There is also the intention of wooing Kakashi, and earning the most profit in the 9 Tails Rebellion. This kind of person, if he is standing on the opposite side of Konoha. At the bottom of Watergate's heart, a chill gushed out. The figure of Uchiha Madara flashed in his mind and asked, are you alone, or do you have an accomplice? Feng Yu pulled out the spell that had been prepared long ago and inserted it into the back of Watergate's head. The Watergate seemed to be clockwork off, motionless. Only stubborn eyes, still fighting. It's a pity that the rebirth of the filthy soil of the feather is very complete, and with the strength of the 4 generations alone, he can't break free from control. I didn't expect you to be so verbose. My lord, the world has changed. You're a dead man who knows so much for what? I summoned you out to make you a tool, not to be interrogated. Feng Yu slowly entered the living room, took the sealed book, and found paper and pen. The scroll is laid out in the position of the flying thunder god. Then bite the pen, like a student preparing to listen to a lecture and take notes. Come on, 4 generations. Give me a show of flying thunder. Remember to move slower, I'll observe. Episode 19, that's right. The purpose of Shocking Feather summoning the 4th generation is to find a tool man. Show your skills and be a sparring partner by the way. As the only person who controls the flying thunder god art, improved version, burying it in the soil is a waste. Dig it out and benefit the juniors. Well, when the flying thunder god is over, summon Jioshinai. The sealing technique of the Vortex clan is also unparalleled in the world. Of course, if they perform well, it is not impossible to give them some benefits. For example, show them the baby son Naruto, the daily life of being bullied. Small courtyard. Gold shimmers, always shining. Bluffing Shui men could not violate the consciousness of Fengyu and danced with tears. Disassembled the flying thunder god and broke it little by little for Fengyu to see. This kind of treatment, Naruto can't ask for it. Shoo, it's really hard. No wonder flying thunder god is such a powerful technique, there is no inheritance. It's simply that elementary school students encounter high numbers, can't understand, can't guess, can't remember. Frightened use notebook, blank. It's like when I was a high number in my previous life. You have to take your time. After the shadow avatar learns other ninjutsu, the body focuses on the flying thunder god. Golden flashes, still twinkling and moving. At this time, Fengyu felt a chakra approaching. He called off the water gate and mouthed to the house, "Go inside and stand by, don't expose your breath." The water gate stiffly walked inside the house, but his eyes tried to look out the door. He also sensed someone coming. And know who? Kakashi. Watergate roared in his heart, "Kakashi, run away." Roaring, "Stay away from this human-faced beastly fellow." However, there is no bird use. Fengyu's eyes widened, and the watergate was hidden uncontrollably. The door was slowly pushed open. Fengyu changed a kind smile. The speed is second only to the flying thunder god. Masked Kakashi, the walking dead, came in. There seemed to be dark clouds above his head, making his whole person look extremely low. Fengyu asked, "Chakra ran out?" Kakashi shook his head. The chakra that Fengyu sealed for him was only half used a few days ago. He's coming over today. He didn't know why he came over. After the death of his father, friends, and companions, his closest teacher, Bluffing Shui men, also died. The huge Konoha looked so strange. There was no place where Kakashi could feel at ease. Like a lonely soul and wild ghost, he was busy with the funeral of the teacher and the work of the dark department. He was so bad that he wanted to come to Uchiha and sit here. Just sit, too. He didn't know what to say. Fengyu sighed in his heart. This guy seems to be really autistic. He stood up and picked up the short knife. "Come, practice with me." Kakashi glanced at him slowly and nodded. He thought that this was just the same as usual, accompany Fengyu to practice swordsmanship. However, this time, frightened Yu's eyes froze, and his pupils were scarlet. Two-hook jade, turned fast. For the first time, Kakashi knew, it turned out that Fenga also opened the Sharingan. And it's still Erguyu. There is no nonsense in the battle. The feather disappeared in an instant, only a scimitar light, like an oblique moon hanging upside down. Kakashi was not prepared carelessly, and the mask was cut. A trace of blood slipped to the ground. The instinct of injury made Kakashi extremely serious. The two of you come and go, fighting as one. Kakashi was shocked to find that he had raised his physical skills to the level of upper ninja. It can only passively resist the attack of Fengyu. Moreover, the tricks of frightening the feather are becoming sharper and sharper. It's not like the previous Bidu, it's more like killing him. Frightened, Kakashi pulled back, pulled out the thumb-thick scroll, and wanted to open the drawing chakra to open the Sharingan. However, Fengyu did not give him a chance. A shadow doppelganger hugged Kakashi from behind. So. Frightened short knife, resting on Kakashi's neck. The blade reflected the look of wonder on Kakashi's face. Frightened smiled. "If you hesitate, you will lose. You think you're a genius, but you lose every time. In the face of your father, you lost to your own prejudices, to the group of people who insulted and punished your father. In the Battle of Shinwubi Bridge, you lost to Iwa Shinobu and lost to time. The attack of the Nine Tails 4 days ago, you lost to the Nine Tails." Kakashi lowered his head, like a wounded beast, and roared, "You know what? You haven't lost, you haven't experienced it, what can you understand?" Fengyu sneered, "Look at your current appearance, even when you refute it, you don't dare to look up at me directly." Kakashi's body froze and he stubbornly raised his head, revealing his hideous, but tear-stained face. It seems to be refuting what Fengyu just said. Fengyu withdrew his short knife and turned to go back to the house. "You think you're a broom star, you think you're ill-fated. Oh, that's normal. Because cowards think so, they need to use this excuse to comfort themselves. Your heart, cowardice. Your strength is even weaker than you can protect anything. I never make friends with people who are cowardly in heart and strength. So, get out of my yard." Episode 20.
156,155,154,153,152 150,150,149,148,147 146,145,100 and
44,143,142 141,140,139,138,137 136,134,133,132 131,130,129,128,127 126,125,124,123,122 121,120,119,000 118,117 116,113,114,113,112 111,110,109,108,107 106,105,104,103,102 100,100,100,99 98, 97, 96, 95, 94, 93, 92, 91, 90, 89, 88, 87, 86, 85, 84, 83, 82, 81, 80, 79, 78, 77, 76, 75, 74, 73, 72, 71, 70, 69, 68, 67, 66, 65, 64, 63, 62, 60. 160, 59, 58, 57, 56, 55, 54, 53, 52, 51, 50, 49, 48, 47, 46, 45, 44, 43, 42, 41, 40, 39, 38, 37, 36, 35, 34, 33, 32, 31, 30, 29, 28, 27, 26. 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Previous next. Fang Yu went back to the house and put the short knife away. Hesitant footsteps behind him, slowly leaving the courtyard. Yu Guang saw that the Watergate was about to say nothing, and he temporarily loosened his control. Watergate looked over with a complicated look. Are you motivating him? Fang Yu laughed. I can't get used to his depressed appearance. I just want to scold a few words. Watergate sighed. If you hit this strong medicine, he may have an accident. Kakashi's events in recent years, as a teacher, he knew all too well. Also knew that Kakashi would have a hard time coming out. If something happens, what does it have to do with me? Fang Yu gave him a blank look. If Kakashi was depressed, it meant that his mind was like that. In the future, it will still be the elite ninja who is 5 or 5 with anyone, and can only be 5 or 5, and it will be a shadow level ninja when it is up to the sky. In those days, shadow level? Shadow level everywhere, are all 6 dogs. What is the use of such a person asking for it? Watergate was silent. Look at the feather from time to time. He found that Fang Yu was not the same as he had imagined at first. You steal. What are you going to do with these? Watergate pointed to the book of seals on the ground and the crystal ball in the corner. He remembered that the thing should have been lying in the Hokage office building. Fang Yu glanced at the book of seals. You flashed your brain before flashing? Of course, it is taken to learn. Watergate wanted to refute that now he was reborn in dirt and had no brains. But the words did not come out, and I felt that this sentence was also very brainless. So I got ready to get down to business. He lowered his face seriously and said, the appearance of the 9 tails obviously has traces of being manipulated by a kaleidoscope. Your Uchiha family, the situation is not good now, right? Feng Yu had already begun to prepare for a bath and sleep, and responded perfunctorily, Watergate raised his chin slightly. I can help you use Jibwa and clear your charges. Frightened you? Oh. Watergate was slightly annoyed. I know who is manipulating the 9 tails. Frightened you? Ho? Watergate clenched his fists. That person, it's Uchiha. Poof. Feng Yu laughed out loud, and the clean clothes he had just collected were all off. Watergate wrinkled his brows and said seriously, I'm serious. It's Uchiha, ha 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 ha. Feng Yu patted his thigh hard, and tears burst out laughing. I know it sounds incredible, but he really is Uchiha. Fortunately, Watergate is incomplete. Otherwise, the bruises on the forehead will explode. Feng Yu twitched and wiped his tears. Then who told you that he was from Uchiha? Watergate realized something was wrong. Yes. He told me it himself. Feng Yu huffed and slowed his breath and said with a smile, he said, you believe it? Watergate's voice lowered involuntarily, but It's really strong. Another kaleidoscope. He can also control the 9 tails. Isn't this what Uchiha once did? Feng Yu smiled helplessly. Brother Watergate, I don't know if you didn't learn well in history class. He clenched his fingers. Let's do the math. The original Hokage can play with the 9 tails as a pet. Uchiha Madara can control the 9 tails and use it as a tool. And you, and the 9 tails 5-5. Got it? Watergate was stunned and converted it. The formula turned out to be brutal. Because his strength is equal to the pet of the original Hokage. Equal to the tool of Uchiha Madara. Got it? If that man is really Uchiha, how long do you think you can last under him? Watergate's voice in defense became quieter and smaller. But what if Uchiha is injured? Frightened, Yu raised his forehead. Do you think that a careerist like Uchiha will drag his sick body and come to his hometown for a walk? By the way, tell someone that he is still alive, but you repelled it? I said, Watergate, your Hokage strength is not as good as the generation, this brain. Hate iron is not steel. When Watergate heard this, he was inept and furious. A little fart child, the Watergate is long, the Watergate is short to teach himself. However, what he said made sense. Forget it, they are all people who have died once, and such a thing as a face does not exist. Watergate soothed his mood, and then looked at Feng Yu, although he still didn't like it, but he didn't have the same rejection as before. The matter of Uchiha spot is not something that a dead man can manage. He thought for a while and changed the topic. You want to learn to fly Thunder God, I can try to help you. You'll have to do me a favor, though. I want to see Naruto. Feng Yu raised his eyebrows, seemingly smiling. Are you sure? For some reason. See the expression of Feng Yu. Watergate had a bad premonition in his heart. Episode 21.
156,155,154,153,152 150,149,148,147 146,145,100 44,143,142 141,140,139,138,137 136,134,133,132 131,130,129,128,127 126,125,124,123,122 121,120,119,000 118,117 116,115,114,113,112 111,110,109,108,107 106,105,104,103,102 101 98, 97, 96, 95, 94, 93, 92, 91, 90, 89, 88, 87, 86, 85, 84, 83, 82, 81, 80, 79, 78, 77, 76, 75, 74, 73, 72, 71, 70, 69, 68, 67, 66, 65, 64, 63, 62, 60.
160.
59, 58, 57, 56, 55, 54, 53, 52, 51, 50, 49, 48, 47, 46, 45, 44, 43, 42, 41, 40, 39, 38, 37, 36, 35, 34, 33, 32, 31, 30, 29, 28, 27, 26. 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Previous next. At night, the edge of Konoha. A farm outdoors. The two figures landed on the trees 50 meters away and did not get closer. The sound of baby cries came from the house to this side. Feng Yu leaned against the trunk of the tree, thinking about the flying thunder god. Watergate first glanced at the chimney outside the house. There is a shadow shinobu hidden there. If it had been before, perhaps he would have thought that the dark part was here to protect Naruto. But thinking of Feng Yu's strange eyes, he suddenly felt a pang of upset. Look inside the house. A blonde baby with 3 beards on each side of his face was crying in bed. The edge of the bed is very high, almost a meter. The baby is strong and rocks from side to side, but there is no protection on the sides around it, and it may fall down at any time. Watergate clenched his fists, worriedly. There was a quarrel in the next room, and the silhouettes of the farmer couple could be seen from the window. Crying and crying, what kind of face does he have to cry on? What's so unbearable about this? Aren't all children like this? What child? That's the demon fox. Have you forgotten, if I hadn't gone to the village center that night with a fever, maybe the dead would have been us. Hey, endure, there are 3,000 subsidies a month. 3,000? Huh, what is 3,000 enough for? A pound of pork costs 700, that's also money. Aren't you still breastfeeding? Just make some extra money. Get out. Even if the old lady dies, she won't feed this demon fox. The woman fell something hysterically. Outside the window, the Watergate was silent. The sound of the demon fox seemed to pierce his heart. You think he is a hero who sealed the container of the 9 tails and sacrificed himself? Oh, ordinary people would think so far there. In their eyes, the 9 tails and Naruto are one. The Ninetales is him, and he is also the nine-tailed demon fox. Fright Yu's mocking voice made Watergate clench his fists. At this moment, he knew. At that time, he thought things too simple. Inside the house, after the woman made a noise, the figure appeared in the baby room, and the crying face was extremely hideous. Little Naruto felt the adult's emotions and cried even harder. Stop pretending. Demon Fox, do you think pretending to cry and I will sympathize with you? My second aunt just died at your feet. The woman became more and more paranoid, and after a chatter, she suddenly looked at Naruto. 2 hands, unconsciously reaching for the baby's neck. Watergate brain blank. He instinctively wanted to rush over, but felt his body being controlled. He looked angrily at Yu. Feather patted the dust and stood up. Don't worry, he is a strategic weapon for the village. Those old guys, they won't let him die. It's time for us to go. Sure enough, a dark shadow appeared in the room and knocked the woman unconscious. It was Shinobu in the dark part that was hidden outside before. Yu manipulated Watergate's body and turned to leave. Behind him came the whining of the dark part. This demon fox, it's really troublesome. I don't care next time, Vortex. Naruto. In the distance, Watergate's body shook. It was actually the restriction of rebirth of filthy soil, almost broken. He said in a hoarse voice and bitterly, why, his surname is Vortex. Yu glanced at him unexpectedly and scoffed. If the surname is Bluffing, then isn't he the son of a hero? Konoha, no need for a hero's son. What they need is a target to vent that they can't resist. Watergate was silent for a long time. Suddenly asked, frightened you, can you take Naruto in? Yu smiled and asked rhetorically, can you kill all the Konoha high level in seconds? Watergate remained silent. You can't? Yu smiled and said, then why do you think that the high level of Konoha will foster the most important 9 tails to my Uchiha house? Since meeting Naruto, Watergate has become taciturn. Be a teaching machine with no feelings. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. Ninja school starts next semester. Early morning. Yu yawned and went out. I saw Kakashi standing in the middle of the road, his clothes mostly soaked with dew. The right eye is slightly narrowed, full of fighting intent. There were also many early Uchiha people around, looking at Kakashi strangely. Feather raised an eyebrow. This goods, figured it out? Kakashi did figure it out, and the horizontal knife was in front of him. Lang shouted, pull out the knife. Frightened. I will prove to you that I am not a weakling, ding. 10 minutes to go to school. Fenga looked at the time and rolled his eyes back at Kakashi. Staggered and too lazy to take care of it. Pull out a hanging. Delay my clock in. Episode 22, ding, punch success, chakra amount +3, Chimu knife skill proficiency +5, pupil power +1. Yu just entered the classroom, and the system clocked in successfully. Then just touch the fish. Touch the end of school, play another wave of double rewards, and today is perfect. The degree of comfort is much cooler than mixed wages. Uchiha Sky, actually dare to come to school? But no, the 9 tails affairs are all their fault, and they killed 4 generations of adults. Who did you all listen to? My dad is a middle endowment, they all say that. Yu was lying asleep on the table, raised his eyelids, and glanced at it. A few children sat around, looking at this side and whispering. Seeing him see it, he panicked for a moment, and he dared to open his eyes again, looking like he did not bow to the evil forces. Fishing boat offensive, come this set again. When Yu entered the school gate, he noticed it. Although the school building has been restored as before, the atmosphere has changed significantly. The most obvious is the malice of others duo Yujibwa. Of course, it's okay to be a ferret in first place. And soft persimmons, like Feather, have become the target of other students' crusades. I don't know if it's 3 generations, or Tuanzang. Yu thought boredly. On the first day after the Ninetales rebellion, news about Uchiha's control of the Ninetales spread throughout the village. Under the pressure of the fishing vessel, Uchiha had to accept the village's eviction arrangement. What do ordinary villagers know this? The news can be spread out at the first time, either the dark part of the 3 generations, or the root of the Tuanzang. These high-ranking people, probably from the fishing wheel must die Konoha White Fang, they liked this trick. Syllable. A loud bang woke up Yu. He rubbed his eyes, only to find that the first class had unknowingly ended. In front of him stood a boy with short hair of 6 or 7 years old, looking at him condescendingly. He doesn't remember the name, but it seems that the surname is Shimura. The family of Tuanzao? Uchiha's little ghost, honestly explain, the 9 tails thing was not done by your family. The little ghost said proudly, and cast a show-off look behind him with afterlight. Behind the little ghost, 6 or 7 children gathered together and squeezed their fists to cheer for Shimura Ryuto. The eyes are full of adoration. It seems that he is some kind of brave man who wants to defeat the evil forces. Fingyu yawned and said perfunctorily, "Who did you listen to?" The little ghost pointed his thumb to his chest. "Of course, my second grandfather said it. My second grandfather is a classmate of 3 generations of adults. Shimura Danzo." Fangyu squinted. "Then your second grandfather, did you tell you that he was a sluggish?" The little devil heard the pen, and the anger suddenly came up. Excited vetoed, "No." As soon as he finished speaking, the little ghost reacted to the trap in the words, and his face turned red. Fangyu glanced at the class schedule. The next class was an outdoor class. So he got up and waved his hand. "Then I will tell you now, you are a pen." "You're welcome, you. You wait for me. You'll look good later." The imp was angry and corrupted in the back. And he also did what he said, and after gathering outside, Shimura Ghost rushed to the teacher. "Teacher, I'll come first, for today's practical class." The outdoor classes at the ninja school are basically practical training classes. In Konoha, which has just ended the war, the ninja still has blood. When the teacher Yamada heard this, he agreed without much thought. "Who are you going to challenge?" Shimura Imp pointed at Uchiha Feather. "I want to challenge him." Teacher Yamada was stunned. "You, do you want to think about it anymore?" The word challenge is the weak against the strong. But Shimura did well and was 8th in age. On the other hand, Fangyu, the age is at the end. Yamada thought about the recent situation in the village and quickly understood that this was not a simple challenge. It is nothing more than wanting to teach Uchiha a lesson. But Uchiha Itachi, Shimura, can't beat it. Uchiha Izumi is a girl. So he aimed at the crane tail feather. "No, I'm going to challenge him," Shimura said firmly. The little friends behind him are also cheering. Uchiha's crane tail, it's also embarrassing. Brother Shimura taught him a hard lesson. Uchiha's people should have gotten out a long time ago. Hit him, hit him, hit him. The shrill voices of the imps echoed together, mobilizing the emotions of others at once. Uchiha hates people and hangs a proud face every day. Coupled with the matter of the Nine Tails Rebellion, many people don't mind stepping on a foot. The other two of Uchiha were also frightened at this time. The ferret looked at everyone's hateful gaze and clenched his fists. Izumi hid behind Itachi in fear. The Shimura imp stood up in the limelight. Uchiha frightened. "I said, it will make you look good." Episode 23, sighed. "Weasel, do you want to stop him?" Izumi said nervously. The classmates who used to get along well with each other exposed the malice at this time made her feel afraid. She hesitated to stop Shimura. The ferret loosened his clenched fist and glanced at the clan brother. Seeing that the clan brother's eyes were slightly cold, he subconsciously snorted. "He's a little angry, I'm afraid no one can stop him here." "Shimura, is it that powerful?" Izumi glanced at Itachi suspiciously. She thought Itachi said it was Shimura. "I never thought that the clan brother who usually slept in class was the real ruthless person." Fangyu was indeed a little angry. The pain of going to work to touch the fish and being woken up by someone. "You 6 or 7-year-old imps don't understand it at all." "Shimura is it? Come on." Feather hooked his hand. Shimura Little Ghost trembled with anger. "I don't bother with pens, my name is Doobie, Feather Feather Feather? Doesn't that mean the same thing? Mouth hard, right?" Shimura raised his hands behind him and swooped in. Faster than the average adult. "Then I'll beat you up so hard that you can't speak." Shimura stood stunned when he saw Frightened You and sneered. With a nail on the right foot, the whole person turned around, and with the power of charging and spinning, he punched the face of the frightened Feather. This punch is solid, and adults have to lie in the hospital. And yet, too slow. Feather stood still, just gently raised his right palm. Syllable. The slap turned into an afterimage, several times faster than a fist. Sturdy fan in Shimura's face. Shimura pushed too hard and was pushed aside by inertia. "You." Shimura covered his face, furious. Soon, he found that Fangfeather's slap was loud, but he didn't have any strength at all. "Humph, just to let you go. With your soft strength, no wonder the crane tail." Shimura rushed forward again. However, it is still a faster afterimage. Syllable. A slap and a slap on his face in the same position. The strength does not increase or decrease, it is also very soft, but the voice is very loud. Shimura noticed his classmates behind him, and seeing his gaze gradually suspicious, he couldn't help but be ashamed. "Keep attacking." Syllable. 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 Slap down with the same force in a row. The whole class was quiet. Fools can see that Uchiha is obviously teasing people. The reason why the slap is very light is just to fan it for a while. Shimura naturally felt it too. But at this moment, he has been carried away by anger. There is only one thought in the head: next time, next time. Be sure to hit him. The idea of the imp is ideal, but the reality is skinny. The crackling sound is endless. And, from beginning to end, Fangyu did not move a step. Frightened feathers, enough is enough. Teacher Yamada came back from shock. Huh? Feng Yu, who had been mechanically hitting his face, raised his eyelids and swept his gaze over. The warning is meaningful. Yamada was shocked and subconsciously swallowed his saliva. At that moment, he seemed to return to the battlefield, to the moment when he was dominated by the enemy's superior shinobi. Uchi. Shimura's movements are getting slower and slower. Consciousness is becoming more and more blurred. Fengyu's slap was not strong, but too many times. Shimura vaguely wanted to say something, but his cheeks were swollen and his teeth were lost. There are more and more people around. Students from other grades who were in class slowly gathered and returned after hearing the movement. Seeing this, Yamada knew that things were getting bigger. Can't go on. What are you doing? A stern shout came. 2 ninjas patrolling nearby arrived. One of them, a 16 or 17-year-old boy with short hair, looked a little like Shimura Dubi. Dubi. The short-haired boy looked angry and looked at Fengyu. Uchiha? It is indeed a family that is inherently evil. The young man turned around in an instant, held his clan brother in his arms, and soothed. Don't worry, I'll help you teach him a lesson. Syllable. A crisp slap sound. Still ringing. What? The young man looked up stunned, and saw that Shimura Little Ghost was still standing in front of Fengyu, and he was slapped again in front of him. And the clan brother in his arms, with a bang, turned into a piece of wood. Avatar? When? Very good. The boy gritted his teeth and stood up. A middle ninja in the hall, he was actually teased by a little ghost with a stand-in technique in front of him. Hundreds of students in the upper and lower grades looked at each other in unison. The young man only felt that his situation was no better than that clan brother who was slapped in the face. Uchiha. The boy suddenly had his hands sealed. Wind escape, vacuum chop. A blade of wind galloped away, straight to Fengyu. And yet, Fengyu pulled his hand indifferently. The boy was surprised to find that his body was entangled in iron wires at some point. Then, it was pulled out by a huge force. At a faster speed, catch up with the wind blade. Poof. The boy leaned over to block the wind blade he spit out. A bloody wound on his chest, deep bone. Phew. Fengyu pulled out Kuwu and raised his hand. Pierce the throat of the teenager. Episode 24. The throat is the weakness of the human body. If the wound is too deep, it is fatal. Frightened Yu's suffering is very accurate, and his hand is very steady. Kuwu will cut the skin and stick it to the wall of the throat. The teenager even suspected that if he swallowed saliva nervously at this time and squirmed his Adam's apple, it would be his death. Use ninjutsu on me. Are you trying to die? Fengyu said indifferently. The boy did not dare to reply. Kuwu was still plugged in. The boy only dared to signal his companion with his eyes. Who knew that his companion shook his head at him and made a wink to the side. The boy then discovered that there were a few more ninjas in the playground. Mitarai Azuki Beans. Metkei. Sunset Red. The young man Shimura had a bad heart. The latter two are okay, the red bean guy has not dealt with the Shimura family all the time. Dispersed, all dispersed. Go back to class. Teacher Yamada was relieved to see someone coming. Drive away students of other classes and ages. His own class was simply changed to a theory class. The students' gazes were full of horror as they looked at Fengyu. Who would have thought that the tail of the crane, which has been lazy sleeping, is so terrifying? Look at the weasel again, looking as usual. They gradually came back. No wonder Itachi insisted on changing his grades to second in his grade. It turns out that it is not humility, but the first belongs to Uchiha Frightened Feathers. In the playground, Fengyu and the two passers-by Nakanin have not left. So, you saw students coming to the siege after conflict? Then why do you use ninjutsu? Don't you know that the other party is just a student? Bullying the Shimura family, so you moved ruthlessly? This is a school, there is no Shimura family, Uchiha family, they only have one identity, students. Red beans are super fierce. With the negligent operation of the Shimura boy, the two of them were killed to death. At least at this time, they had to bow their heads. Of course, it is also inevitable to go back and secretly sue parents and the Hokage. Sunset Red was on the side, and his eyes frequently looked at Fengyu. Sure enough, what is the special relationship between red beans and this guy? Moreover, Hongdo has long known the true strength of this guy. Uchiha, is there another genius? Feather feather, weasel, stop water. Now the situation in the village is getting more and more chaotic. Sunset Red and Kai go back to life. Red Bean excused staying. Red Bean, who was still super fierce just now, immediately prodded down as soon as the others left. The 11-12-year-old girl bent down and showed a fawning smile. Frightened you, I invite you to eat meatballs. Fengyu glanced at the classroom. The glass windows reflected one after another, either frightened or curious. Forget it, go out and fish. The two came to the dessert shop, and Red Bean enthusiastically recommended several kinds of meatballs. Frightened and helpless, women like to eat these. He asked, you came to find me? Red Bean chewed on the balls and widened his eyes. How do you know? Fingyu gave her a blank look and did not answer. Can't you say that you are bored at night, use a crystal ball, and watch all aspects of the village as a TV series, right? Red Bean occasionally participates in patrol missions, but the route does not include ninja schools. As for the Red Beans came to themselves. Probably boring. Hongdo was isolated by the village because of his teacher Orochimaru. There are not many people who can speak. The person who gave her the root of the tongue was ironically the closest person to her. Hongdo looked left and right, and said sneakily, I heard some news, confidential news. Fangyu cooperated with her performance, revealing a surprised expression. Red Bean was very satisfied, and a blush appeared on his face. Then she lowered her voice and said, during the Nine Tails Rebellion, it was said that the seal book of the village was stolen. Frightened nodded. It's still in my house. Hongdo continued, the person who stole the book also killed Shinosuke, the eldest son of 3 generations of adults. I heard just heard that. The people in the dark department found out that the person who killed Shinosuke used shadow imitation. Frightened you was a little surprised. You can find it all. The dark part is still a bit of a trick. You're not surprised. Hongdo was surprised when he didn't see Fingyu, and pouted indignantly. I was surprised. Fingyu pulled a smirk, and then, what is the reaction of the 3 generations? Red Do snorted twice, and although he was not satisfied with Fingyu's perfunctory, he continued, what can I do? Lord Shikaku is a military master. The 3 generations of adults did not suspect him, but there was some friction between the Sarutobi family and the Nara family. Fingyu was really smiling this time. Unexpectedly, when stealing the book, he used the shadow secret technique, accidentally hit and bumped, and it actually played a role in separating the relationship between Ape Fae and the Nara family. Unintentional willow insertion, willow into shade. Thinking of this, Fangyu saw Red Bean bored playing with bamboo sticks. Girly cardamom, it's the time to be cute. He couldn't help but say badly, Hongdo, how about I teach you a trick? Red Bean approached in surprise, really? In her heart, Fingyu's strength was mysterious. If you can learn a little, you won't be left behind by him in the future. Feather smiled strangely, I cast it, you look at it well. The Red Bean chicken nodded like a rice peck. Then, I saw the shadows cast by the 2 people on the table, as if they came to life. The shadows gradually joined together, and then she couldn't move. Shadow mimicry? Red Bean's eyes widened, and his body trembled slightly. It turns out that the things just said, especially cute. Did you do it? Episode 25. Fangyu looked at Hongdo funny, watching her expression change a lot. On the girl's fleshy face, a whole thriller was performed. He withdrew his shadow, and Lazizi swallowed a ball, still practicing? The secret art of the Nara family, ordinary people are not unable to practice. After all, it is a secret art, not a blood succession. It's just that without inheritance, without medicines, materials, or polishing from a young age, it will be very difficult to practice. Red Bean was too much for a while, and his face was almost stiff. After a long time, he sighed. I know you have many secrets, but I didn't expect so many secrets. It's still so scary. She was worried. Frightened you, will you talk to the teacher? Big Snake Pill the same? Fangyu remembered his chance encounter with the Big Snake Pill in the cemetery, and shook his head seriously. How can I be the same as him? Well, at least I won't leave Konoha. However, subverting Konoha can be considered. Hongdo breathed a sigh of relief and said firmly, then I will learn. Then find me during recess, 3 times a week. Anyway, the ontology is a human flesh punch every day, as long as the class starts, and the clock in after school. At this time, Hongdo remembered what had just happened. In other words, you taught the people of the Shimura family such a lesson, are you not afraid of retaliation? Hongdo dislikes Danzo very much, the guy who often messes with his teacher Orochimaru. But today's incident is a bit big. She was afraid that Shimura Danzo would take the opportunity to find trouble. Aren't we Uchiha always so arrogant? Fangyu smiled and didn't pay attention to it. Today's incident seems to be a big deal, but his fight with the imp is just a normal operation of Uchiha. The subsequent Shimura ninja was injured, and it was also the other party who made a mistake first. Now that Uchiha has been suppressed, it is already a powder keg. As long as the people in the upper echelons of Konoha are not stupid, they know that this matter can only be dealt with by cooling down. Otherwise, there will be a complete stalemate, to the point of fighting or splitting each other, and the already weak Konoha will become a piece of fat that everyone can eat. Hokage building. Tuanzo was angry and found the 3 generations. What's going on with Uchiha's feather? The three generations looked at the document intently. Tuanzong, you forgot to knock on the door. Seeing Ape Fei looking like this, Tuanzong slapped the table fiercely. Uchiha's people insult my Shimura family children and hurt me Shimura family ninjas. Why don't you deal with this matter? After hearing the report of the Shimura teenager, Danzo was almost so angry that he went directly to the school and killed Uchiha Feather in shock. How many years since he became the apprentice of the second generation Hokage, the Shimura family has never suffered from this kind of sacking chi. What made Tuanzong even more dissatisfied was that Ape Fei suppressed this matter. The third generation sighed and put down the document. Then you tell me how to deal with it. Uchiha originally came out with a stop water, a weasel, and now a feather again. Although Uchiha has become famous, he is powerful. The village is extremely short of high-end combat power. Pressing with fishing wheels is already the limit. Shin and Uchiha tear their faces? It's just a lose-lose for both. Then we should have sanctioned them earlier. A trace of fear flashed under Tuanzang's eyes, and he said hatefully, have you forgotten what the teacher said? Uchiha's evil is a root problem, and now that their family is prospering, we should strangle it in the cradle, even if, pay a little more. The third generation responded coldly, then you tell me, in what name, your people ran to the school and used ninjutsu on a student in front of everyone. It's a great mistake in itself, and you were killed by someone, and now you want to take Uchiha out of anger. Do you want everyone in the village to see the joke? Tuanzo was speechless. Irritably in the room, pacing back and forth. Name, but an excuse. Suddenly he thought of something and stopped. How old is Uchiha Shuei? As companions who grew up together since childhood, the three generations immediately guessed the meaning of Tuanzo. It's about 13.4. He's been away from the battlefield for a while. Tuanzong said, as compensation, cut him to my roots, since you can't destroy Uchiha with your own hands. Then use Uchiha's people and destroy Uchiha. Isn't it brainwashing? Tuanzo is confident that he can change Uchiha to stop the water. Speaking of which, that Uchiha frightened Feather, at least the strength of Naka Shinobi. Tuanzong bit a piece of meat into his mouth, and the person calmed down a lot. Judging by his performance, the strength seems to have come out of nowhere. The third generation took a puff of smoke. His bitterness has a bit of a taste of knife skills. I probably learned it with Kakashi. In the past few months, he has had a deep relationship with Kakashi. Danzo frowned. I remember that Kakashi just entered the Dark Division, right? The people in the Dark Department are actually so close to the Uchiha family, no problem? The three generations pondered for a moment. There is indeed something wrong. He called the Dark Ministry. Episode 26, Uchiha Remote Courtyard. The light of the knife is constantly coming. The sound of the exchange is like a sudden rain and thunder. Long. Kakashi looked slightly self-satisfied and took the knife. Nearly a year after competing with Fang Yu in the Chimu Dao technique, he fought to a draw for the first time. It didn't completely dishonor the name of Chimu. Moreover, he believed that he did not fully exert the strength of Shainin, but only used sword skills. The real strength is definitely above the feather. Of course, he didn't know that Fang Yu also didn't give his full strength. More whole cards. Golden Escape, Dark Practice, Shuriken in all directions, Rebirth of Dirt. Anything can take him to death. When the thought is clear, the knife is stable. Well done. Frightened Yu endured the tiredness and re-recruited the three shadow doppelgangers to study. When he just came back, he was cancelling the shadow avatar and digesting the learning results of today's shadow avatar. Naturally, it also inherits 3 times the sleepiness of studying hard. Kakashi's knife was more sharp and decisive than before. This made the achievements of his more than 10 years of sword skills fully displayed. Not much worse than him who learns through the system. Say, what's the matter with me? Fang Yu opened a pool in the small courtyard, 10 square meters. The water leads to a pool of water. The temperature is controlled at 40 degrees. Jump in and enjoy the hot spring bath. Ninja, it's just pleasant. Although Kakashi wore a mask, he couldn't hide his thoughts. Hearing this, he stood by the pool. Hesitated, just 3 generations found me. Fang Yu comfortably enjoyed the hot water caress. How, let you spy on me? Kakashi was startled, and then bowed his head. Yes, he didn't have a taste in his heart. He finally made new friends, and as a result, the 3 generations asked him to monitor. It made him feel a strong sense of guilt and an inexplicable boredom with 3 generations. Frightened was satisfied with Kakashi's guilt. So what are you going to do? Kakashi looked struggling. He's not stupid, he's even smart. I have long known that something is wrong with Fang Yu, a 6-year-old child, Yu riding wheel eyes. Physical techniques close to upper shinobi. If you usually get along and ignore your height, you are more like an adult than him. I know you probably have a lot of secrets, and as a friend, I won't ask more. Kakashi lowered his head, not daring to look at Fanga, but as the Dark Ministry of Konoha, I have a responsibility to spy on the news from you. Kakashi waited nervously. For a long time I didn't hear a response from Fingyu. He gritted his teeth and compromised, even if. Fake news. Kakashi almost made it explicit. Fangul said, "Are you asking me to make up false news for you to send you on errands?" "That's a lot of trouble." Kakashi's heart relaxed. Then he heard Fingyu continue, "It's too tiring to make up stories, make it up yourself." "Kakashi, it's too much. I gave in to let you lie, and as a result, I have to do the job of lying." "Hey." Kakashi sighed with a smile. Looking at Fangyu, he suddenly bowed seriously. "Thank you for this time. If it weren't for Fingyu, perhaps he would continue to sink in the dark. You made me find a new purpose. I want to become stronger, and protect the people I care about." Fingyu looked at Kakashi's hot gaze and couldn't help but cover his body. "This guy didn't mean me, did he?" Fangyu hurriedly said, "What, I don't have to be protected." Kakashi's gaze darkened. "You better guard him." Fangyu whistled inside the house. Kakashi clenched his fists. "No, except for you, the people I care about in this world are no longer there. Father, Obito, Rin, and the teacher. What's wrong with the teacher?" At this time a gentle voice came from behind him. Kakashi froze in place. That voice was all too familiar to him. But he, obviously died with the 9 tails. Kakashi slowly turned around. "I saw a figure like the sun." Watergate wiped Kakashi's tears and took him into his arms. "Welcome back, Kakashi. Saw the two hugging for a long time. Frightened you got goosebumps. You two have to catch up, trouble go to the house." Then sighed. "I looked at the self-chicken in the water. When will I grow up and make myself a beauty?" Episode 27, 3 years later. Konoha has peace for the time being. Because of the Third Ninja War, Konoha and Yunin have been clash on the border. But just recently, Yunin couldn't afford a long-term battle and decided to give up the attack. This brought a complete end to the war. Forest of Death. 2 figures kept shuttling through. Hidden Shadow, Snake Hand. Red Bean stared at it, bypassing the trunk and breaking his hand. More than a dozen poisonous snakes burst out from the cuffs for more than 10 meters. The Viper opened its mouth, its fangs flashing with a ghostly light. However, this trick is really a killing move. The shadow under the group of poisonous snakes changes its trajectory as the poisonous snakes elongate and bend. Keep track of your opponents. Even if the Viper attack is unsuccessful, the nimble shadow can catch the other party. Once again, however, the attack fell through. The group of poisonous snakes helplessly slammed on the tree trunk, breaking the half-meter thick tree trunk lazily. "Aya! Not coming. Not coming, every time. Say yes to let people try shadow imitation, but the result is not caught once." Red Bean's mouth deflated, stomped his foot, and turned around. Complete the girl's angry 3 consecutive times. The figure of Fingyu appeared on the broken tree, and at the age of 9, he was already 1 meter and 5. He said helplessly, "It's all said, don't keep taking snakes out, it's very disgusting." Hondo's eyes widened and he said incredulously, You call me disgusting?" Frightened forehead. Forgot to forget, this guy is already a regular girl with menstruation. Still a young girl with a spring heart. The tears of the Red Bean fell sharply. Stubbornly turned around and saw a group of curious monkeys watching the play in the trees. She stomped her foot fiercely, and the shadow quickly grabbed. Shadow mimicry, success. Red Bean rolled his eyes and manipulated the monkey. "Learn from me, open your mouth first. Say together, frightened feathers, it's a big stupid." The monkey's face was full of horror and made a grunting sound. But Red Bean finds fun, manipulating the monkey to keep saying bad things about feather. Leave a string of old hen-like laughter. Cluck, how stupid. Fangyu listened to the girl's laughter and found a tall branch to fish. 3 years later, the days were calm. Under his tuft, Hondo was promoted early and especially forbearing. However, if you count the shadow imitation technique, it is not a big problem to deal with ordinary upper shinobi. Kakashi's progress was also rapid. Without a knot, he was carefully taught by the teacher Watergate. Last year, he became an elite shinobi. In addition to copying various ninjutsu, sword art has also declined. However, Konoha's information on Kakashi still says shinobu. This is also the request of Fingyu. Musho Yunin always attracts attention. Kakashi, it's better to be a genius who looks out of everyone. And in the past 3 years, the greatest improvement. Or frighten yourself. Uchiha feather, age, 9 years old. Attributes, fire, thunder, water, earth, yin. Chakra amount, upper shinobi. Ninjutsu, elite shinobi. Illusion, Shangnin. Physical skills, elite shinobi. Hitomi technique, riding will I 3 hook jade. Secret technique, shadow manipulation. Secret art, the art of heart turning. Secret art, Jin Duan. Secret art, Mu Dun. Secret art, water escape. Forbidden arts, dirt rebirth, multiple shadow doppelganger, ghoul seal, 100 hero art. Comprehensive strength, elite upper patience. Work unit, Konoha village, 3 years. Directly from the elite to the elite to endure. The forbidden arts and secret arts he mastered made him have multiple whole cards. If it weren't for his physical fitness, this gorgeous super technique would be enough to push him to the quasi-shadow level. It's still too much age limit. Fortunately, in a few days, the 4th blessing from home will be received. Frightened palms, chakra is constantly changing. Sharp, tough golden chakra, Jin Duan. Lively, vigorous green chakra, Mu Duan. Changeable, soft blue chakra, water escape. The power of Jin Dun is sharper after the strength grows. Mu Duan, compared to the Thousand Hands clan, is very similar in attack methods. But the means of cure, more abundant. If we talk about Jin Dun and Mu Duan, because of the lack of reference objects, they cannot intuitively feel the power of the 5 elements technique. That water escape is everywhere in the Hokage world. It's much simpler in comparison. The same ninjutsu, use the water of the 5 elements. Number of seals, halved. Power, increased by half. Frightened, you couldn't help but think of the 2nd generation Hokage's sea escape. That's probably the advantage. There is still half a month, and I can clock in and sign into the 5 elements fire. Before that, though. Yunin's mission, it should be almost here. Episode 28, ding, successful clock in after work, chakra amount plus 10, Chimu knife skill proficiency plus 20, Mu Dun, tree realm birth quantity plus 18. After accompany the red beans to practice, Fang Yu detoured to the school, to check in. As I get older, the rewards for punching in are getting richer, doubling in value from 3 years ago. It seems that the amount of reward is determined based on the strength rating. Also, the elite endures to the shadow level, even geniuses sometimes require more than 10 years of effort. If the punch reward does not rise, it cannot be said. Unfortunately, there will be no cards to play in the next 2 days. The delegation of Yunin village has arrived, and Konoha will hold a grand welcoming ceremony. Students are on holiday, businesses are on spree. The whole of Konoha was filled with joy, thinking that it was far from the war from now on. Frightened Feather returned home. Watergate looked at the crystal ball with soft eyes, and saw him come back and hurriedly switched channels. If you want to see your son, you can watch it, the meeting has not yet begun. Frightened you withdrew his shadow doppelganger and digested today's learning success. The ninjutsu of the Book of Seals has been learned almost the same, and there are only a few useless ones left, as well as the Flying Thunder God. The Flying Thunder God has now touched the threshold, and he is 1 step away from mastering it. Naruto, he went to Ichiraka ramen again today. Watergate chattered non-stop. Indulge in the thrill of raising a son every day. Before the age of 2, Naruto ate 100 meals and circulated to many households. It's a pity that people fancy subsidies, and the way they treat Naruto is heart-wrenching. Now that Naruto is living alone, Watergate is relieved. Other people's white eyes and bad words are still there, but at least no one is bullying him at home. Your requirements for being a daddy are really low. After digesting the shadow avatar information, Fang Yu complained. Changed hands and took the crystal ball, and cut the picture to the envoy group of Yunin village. The screen unfolds, starting at the hotel where the messengers are staying. Fang Yu controls the Jiaodu, and in the picture, more than a dozen envoys from Yunin village gather together for a meeting. Very ordinary picture. But Fang Yu knew that there must be one of the items they were meeting, the kidnapping of the Hyuga family. That girl, her name is Samui, right? Watergate pointed to the woman in the lead. An iceberg beauty around 20 years old. Short blonde neck-length hair, fair skin, blue-green pupils. The look is focused and cold. And then, the biggest feature, big. Comparable to Tsunade. Pristine. I didn't expect her to come. Watergate looked at Samui blankly, caught up in memories. He has fought with the current Thunder Shadow several times and has also met Samui. Samui, who was still a girl at that time, was already the main subordinate of the 4th generation of Thunder Shadow. In a flash, a few years have passed, and it has grown to the height of being able to lead the envoy group. Hey, the eyes fell in. Fang Yu stretched out his hand and shook it in front of Shuaman's eyes. Do you want me to invite Jioshinai to come out and watch it together? Watergate quickly waved his hand. Don't. Jioshinai's fiery temper, I'm afraid I can't beat him to death. Moreover, Naruto is in this situation now. If Jioshinai saw it, it is estimated that he slaughtered Konoha's heart. Okay, you honestly accompany Kakashi these 2 days. Fang Yu put the crystal ball in his pocket and decided to show it less to Watergate in the future. Calculate the time, some of my wives have grown up. Frightened feathers, you. Aren't you ready to do something? Watergate stopped feather. In the past 3 years, Yu was indifferent to other things except cultivation and study. Today, there is something perverse. Shocking Yu smiled, put down the 3 shadow doppelgangers, and left. After 3 years of silence, something is really about to be done. Next. The Yunin messenger group officially contacted Konoha. The two families, who had just ended the friction of the war, had a good conversation with each other. Konoha intends to form an alliance with Yunin. Yun vaguely agreed. So, there was a peaceful atmosphere. However, on the other side where no one is paying attention. A cloud ninja lurking near the Hyuga family. Episode 29, Hinata's courtyard, lit up. Lively. Today, the Yunin village envoy group is discussing the alliance, and the Hyuga family is the only family that did not go to make a scene. Because they have something more important to think. Hinata, the eldest miss of the Hyuga family, today is her 3rd birthday. The young Hinata shows a fair talent. Although a little shy, it is normal to put it on a 3-year-old. Patriarch Hinata has good expectations for Hinata now. And, of course, what to expect today. Hinata also grew up in the future, still too shy, and turned into a great disappointment. At the banquet, Hinata knelt down in the main seat. The habitual and serious communication between the adults made her very uncomfortable. Brother Ningxi. Is it? Hinata noticed that there was always a line of sight, and she secretly looked back. A 4-year-old child quickly lowered his head and his face turned crimson. It was just met outside, Uncle-son. With his friends present, Hinata's tension eased slightly. Over there in Yunin village, should I take a look? The patriarch's own brother, Hinata, quietly walked up to Hinata and inquired. At this time, the other families in the village were in the Hokage building, and although their own family couldn't leave because of Princess Hinata's affairs, if they didn't go alone, they were a little out of place. Although Hinata does not have a high status, his identity is that of the patriarch's own brother. Go and show up, still qualified. No need. Hayashi held the wine glass and responded coldly. That's his attitude. Allied with Yunin village? Thinking of the children who died in the 3rd Ninja World War, Hayashi felt very uncomfortable. Yunin village is strong, which makes Konoha lose a lot. And the Hyuga family, which is the radar of war, was even more taken care of and suffered heavy losses. He provoked the war in Yunin village, and gave up the war because he could not supply for a long time, Konoha's high-profile greeting, and the thirst for alliances. In Hayashi's opinion, it is quite cowardly. The enemy wants to fight, and when the war is over, you are still careful to accompany the smiling face? Humph. Hayashi is not worth the people he lost. Rationally, he knew that Konoha wanted to relieve stress, but he couldn't pass the emotional level. Seeing that his brother had a tough attitude, Hinata sighed and said no more. The fundraising was staggered, and many people were already drunk. Hinata was still young and couldn't survive the night. Yawning and being carried away by his mother like a doll. When Hinata rested, it was still lively outside. No one found that the enchantment of the family compound was quietly opened. Success. Yunren quietly breathed a sigh of relief. The Hyuga family is worthy of being a wealthy family, and the enchantment is quite difficult to crack. However, the emissary group was already prepared. Arranged for one of the best sealing masters in the village to come over to carry out the task. Yun Shinobu opened the map and remembered it in mind. Bypass the lively main courtyard and head straight to the hut where Hinata is located. At this time, Hinata had just fallen asleep and was not completely asleep. Hearing the movement, I just got up. Yun Shinobu stepped forward and knocked him unconscious with a hand knife. Plan complete. Yunren was excited. The village can finally have white eyes. White eyes on the battlefield can be called a plug-in. Built-in scanning radar, defense can prevent ambushes, and will never be attacked by strong attacks. Active attack, you can completely detect the whereabouts of the other party, so that the chance of successful sneak attack is greatly improved. As long as there is one battlefield, the local balance can be changed. And Konoha. There is a big white eye. Phew. Yunren calmed his good mood and heard movement outside. The feast had dispersed. Many people began to go back to their homes, sweeping their own beds. Yun Shinobu hurriedly bypassed the crowd and left Hinata's house, with Hinata in his arms. Kick, kick, kick. There was a faint sound of footsteps from the next wall. Oops. It's going to be discovered. Yunren's heart suddenly became flustered. He is good at breaking seals and enchantments, but fighting, that's it. When you meet a ninja of the Hyuga family who is good at physical skills, you can lie down in minutes. Just in the nick of time, bang, bang. 2 branches rushed in like snakes. Without waiting for him to react, the branch directly carried him and Hinata out of the yard. Yunren was still in the air, and a terrifying thought suddenly flashed in his mind. Muduan? Muduan. Why do people in Konoha still have people who will go away? Oh? It seems that the time has come. A teasing voice came. Yun Shinobu was suspended upside down in the air by the branches, and tried to look sideways. A child with a Shinigami mask pinned to his waist gently carried Hinata away from him. You, who are you? Yunren tried his best to hold back his fear. Can't clock in because you are excited, can only wander around, enthusiastic villagers. Yun Shinobu had a question mark. I only felt that my body was wrapped up in branches. And then, a twist. Crunch. Crunch. The body twisted 1080 degrees, lying in a pool of blood. Episode 30, looking at the corpse, Fingyu habitually wanted to grill off. But there was movement in his arms. Hinata's hairy little head trembled slightly. It's like a frightened cat on a rainstorm. The movements are weak. But Fingyu felt it. Then, the little one's breathing became heavy and his heartbeat increased. It is almost impossible to hide the trembling of the body. Always awake? Frightened the cat and smoothed Hinata's head. Hinata trembled and looked up a little from his arms. Only his eyes were exposed, and he looked timidly at Fengyu. She did stay awake all the time. Although Hinata is young, he has a foundation in physical skills. Yun Shinobu's strength is not strong, and with that hand knife, Hinata dodged it by instinct. It was not cut in the back of the neck. Timid, she has been pretending to be unconscious. Until you faintly hear the crunch of bones behind you and smell blood. Only then could not stop being afraid. Don't worry, the bad guys were knocked down by me. Fingyu smiled kindly. The high appearance of the Uchiha family, coupled with a sincere smile. It gave Hinata a sense of security. The body no longer shakes. Instead, I was a little curious and wanted to look back. It's not pretty. Fengyu's palm pressed her head, and the little one's body trembled, and he turned his head again and buried it in his arms. Who's where? At this time, Hayashi, who killed Yun Shinobu by mistake in the original work, appeared. He had already sensed that someone was nearby, and after hearing the movement, he immediately rushed over. Then I saw a twisted corpse on the ground. And a strange child holding his daughter. Hayashi silently mobilized chakra, his head quickly analyzing the current situation. At present, it seems that for the first time, someone has just been felt. It is the man on the ground who kidnapped his daughter and fled. The last time movement was heard later, it was the murderer who was killed. But is the child in front of you friend or foe? This? Hayashi didn't know how to phrase it for a while, and paused. Little sir, thanks for the rescue. It's just that the young girl is timid, can she return it to her husband first? Hinata heard her father's voice and looked expectantly at Fengyu. Fengyu pretended not to see it. If you don't pay it back. Soft and fragrant little guy. Hug a little longer. Shoo. Fengyu smiled and raised his index finger to her, putting on the Shinigami mask. That's when he turned around. Hinata's eyes narrowed, and he subconsciously changed his title. Why don't you show people with a positive eye? Fengyu smiled softly. The voice echoed in the mask, and the age and original voice could not be heard. I think you should see who that person on the ground is, before you know my identity. Hayashi frowned and looked at the corpse on the ground. Just now, he just glanced at it and didn't look closely. This will look at it carefully, and suddenly my heart will be shocked. A member of the mission of Yunin village. When the delegation arrived yesterday, Hayashi had seen him once. People of the messenger order, why are you here? Why was Hinata kidnapped? Why did you dare to kidnap Hinata? Hinata, breathing is getting heavier. I only feel that the people of Yunin village are arrogant and domineering, and there is no one in sight. Actually took advantage of the alliance and ran to rob people? But after the anger, Hayashi couldn't help but worry. The messenger of Yunin village died in his Hyuga family compound. If he turned back to Yunin village and investigated it, how should the Hyuga family deal with himself? Hayashi glanced at Fengyu and shook his head secretly. It is useless to shirk it to others. People robbed his daughter and died at his doorstep. No one will think that this matter has nothing to do with Hinata's family. I will report this matter to the 3 generations. As soon as he finished speaking, Fengyu burst out laughing. Hayashi frowned. What do you mean? Fengyu said, do you think that the 3 generations will hang on to you, so they will help you speak? Hizu reprimanded, this matter itself is that Yunin village does not care, and the 3 generations will naturally not be biased. Although he does not like the 3 generations, he is the injured party, and there is a reason for it. Although Yunin village is not easy to offend, he is the patriarch of the Hyuga family, the boss of the battlefield radar family, and the strategic significance of the Hyuga family led by him is second only to the 9 tails. Although the 9 tails are strong, they are not necessarily controllable. On the other hand, the role of the white eyes of the Hyuga family, stable and deadly, has been verified on the battlefield for hundreds of years. Will 3 generations help themselves? How can it be? Unless his head is clamped by the door. Feng Yu just liked to see his father-in-law's confident look, and smiled when he heard this. You underestimate the cowardice of some people too much. Hayashi frowned. What do you mean? Feng Yu burst out laughing. How about we make a bet? I bet that the 3 generations will sacrifice the life of your Hyuga family in order to appease Yunin.